Hey fam, want to check out Roland Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered for Friday, September 6, 2019. Roland is off today. I'm Dr. Avis Jones-Dweaver. Hampton University is offering free tuition to Bahamian students displaced by Hurricane Dorian. Jay-Z and the NFL plan to give money to a group who cut dreadlocks and professed all lives matter. We have the details. A former University of Arkansas student charges the coach with racism and has a recorded conversation to prove it. And what's the future of African Americans in Bitcoin technology? We'll talk to the founder of Bitmari. Tamron Hall launches her new daytime talk show on Monday, and Roland caught up with her at the Essence Music Festival. Plus, Reverend Jamal Bryant talks with Roland about transitioning from Baltimore to Atlanta and AME to Baptist. Also, remembering songwriter LaShawn Daniels. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Hampton University said that it's partnering with the University of the Bahamas to offer a tuition-free semester as well as room and board at its Hampton University campus for students disabled by the storm. Students will have the option to stay at Hampton after the semester is over while paying university tuition and fees. Hampton University President William Harvey struck the agreement with Rodney Smith, president of the University of the Bahamas, who is the former administrative vice president and chief planning officer at Hampton. So, joining me on the panel today is Eugene Craig, who is CEO of Eugene Craig Organization, Amicia Cross, political commentator, and Democratic strategist Lauren Victoria Burke with the National Newspaper Association. Now,
That must be Eugene.
that must be Eugene. So, ladies, what do you think about what's going on, first of all, with the Bahamian situation? It looks like such a huge, devastating tragedy. It's wonderful to see that that Hampton University steps up like this to be able to lend some help. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, we've seen this before. HBCUs and Black organizations tend to step in a lot of situations at the first note when other organizations aren't. And I think that this speaks volumes for the spirit of Hampton, for the spirit of HBCUs, but also for a true recognition of a lot of the devastation that the Bahamas are going through right now. When we look at it, we can relate in many ways to what we saw in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But Puerto Rico didn't have an airport that was basically underwater. They weren't necessarily, they were able to get some supplies in a lot sooner. The Bahamas in many areas are just now getting supplies in today. Yeah. So we still have people that are without power, we have people that are without food, we have people that have been without water for days at a time at this point. And I think that, anything that Hampton can do, anything that, we're seeing Tyler Perry also,
Yes.
Do a lot of work there. And we're seeing some of the cruise ships also go in and help as well. There's a lot going on here, and it's an all hands on deck effort. I'm hopeful that the American government can also, do its part. But as we've seen previously, I don't have a lot of strength in my wishes there. But I do believe that Hampton deserves all the kudos. I think that other HBCUs will probably jump on board as well.
Absolutely. And it would be wonderful to see this government take this tragedy seriously, but instead we're stuck on Sharpie Gate now for, I don't know, what is it, 2 days in a row where you have this hysteria going on. When are we going to have some sanity in terms of leadership in this nation?
Not until Donald Trump is out of office, obviously. I mean, he's the master at distraction and distracting us into stupidity, usually. And obviously, we know the history when it comes to aid to countries where people of color are featured. So obviously the Puerto Rico situation is sitting right in front of us, and of course he's not going to say anything about the Bahamas. I mean, he's not going to say anything about the Bahamas, but it is good to see the corporate actors. We did see American Airlines, we saw Royal Caribbean step up, We saw a guy walk into a Costco in Jacksonville, Florida, and buy 100 generators to the tune of $50,000. I mean, so that was an amazing story. But you know, at the end of the day, obviously the governments have the scale. Our government has the scale. Apparently, the Bahamas does have a partnership with the Rhode Island National Guard, which I knew nothing
I didn't know
about.
about that.
Yeah, I know anything about that. But so they flew some planes in. I think it was today actually, to help. But would be nice if the President of the United States showed some leadership. It shouldn't all just be the UN.
Yeah.
I mean, Bahamas is right there. Obviously, it's a tourist attraction for many Americans and obviously many people around the world. So he could use his bully pulpit in a sophisticated way to help other people, but that's just not what Donald Trump does. It's not something I would come to expect, so it's not a surprise.
Absolutely. I mean, he'd have to be a sophisticated person to use his pulpit in a sophisticated way.
Exactly.
So Eugene, in terms of your president, I'm really kind of sort of grasp what we should, obviously we're not going to expect much from him, but I'm thinking about this situation, particularly in the context of what we know happened to Puerto Rico, which actually is a U.S. territory. And even today, he's talking about taking millions of dollars away that was supposed to be used towards rebuilding Puerto Rico that still needs rebuilding, and instead diverting it for this wall project that he seems to be fixated on. I mean, at what point will we be able to find some adult throughout his administration that hopefully will be able to give people the help that they need, especially in moments of crisis?
Well, it's a couple things here. The first is this. The United States plays a special role in the region and the world. One of those special roles is making sure that our trade lanes and our trade relationships are well maintained and protected. The Bahamas does not have the capacity to truly handle this by themselves. The American government needs to deploy an aircraft carrier that can serve as a temporary airport to deploy supplies to the island if it has not been done already. That's the first thing. Secondly, the way that, the president is now shifting funds from DOD, from DHS to, deal with his wall, his vanity project is absolutely atrocious. There's a report today of a school and military base down there in Fort Hood that's not going to get built because the funds for it was taken and thrown towards the wall. What I think would be really interesting is to see how the president and the White House responds to the tragedy that's now taking place in South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe Virginia, depending on which way this storm goes, which are states that he absolutely needs to win in 2020.
Absolutely. So we're hoping that at some point when we have some leadership that we'll be able to count on.